Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope everyone is doing okay. Guys, I've tested this mic. I don't hear any issue with the mic. Let me check my sound one more time before we continue. Let's see. Everything is on 100, so I am going to... Good. I wasn't going to do an additional story tonight, but this is too bizarre, too weird, too goofballish, too maniac, too lunatics ahead of or in charge of the asylum story. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, had to be talked down on numerous occasions for wanting to militarily invade Venezuela. Literally talked down. And not just talked down, they told Donald Trump, look, don't say anything about this. There's this episode of Jackass. And in the episode of Jackass, they were taking toys, and they were taking those toys, and they were ramming those toys into their ass, and then going to the doctor because they thought it was funny that the doctor had to pull a toy out of their ass. The doctor pulled one of the guys to the side and says, look, don't tell anybody that this ever happened. This is just between you and I. The doctor, in a moment of compassion, didn't want anybody to know the indignity that had just taken place where he had to extract something from somebody else's ass. In much the same way, the leaders who were in charge and working around Donald Trump told Donald Trump, listen, don't say anything to anyone else about this. And being a goofball, being a reality show host, being the ridiculous person that he is, Donald Trump goes around to one leader in Latin America after the next, bringing up his plans about what he wants to do, only to be shot down by each and every one of them. And these are not, Jimmy Carters. They're not bleeding hearts. They aren't people who, for the most part, under normal circumstances, don't like this stuff. These are right-wingers. These are people who are like him, psychopaths. People who don't care about murder and killing and pillaging and forging. That's not what these people care about. And even then, they told Donald Trump to stand down. Stand down. The guy who got in the presidency talking about, I'm going to focus on America. And immediately, last summer, is talking about taking over a nation. Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? That's fucking terrifying. This is the AP, Associated Press. Trump press aids on Venezuela invasion, officials say. As a meeting last August in the Oval Office to discuss sanctions on Venezuela was concluding, President Donald Trump turned to his top aides and asked an unsettling question. With a fast unraveling Venezuela threatening regional security, why can't the United States just simply invade the troubled country? The suggestion stunned those present at the meeting, including U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and National Security Advisor McMaster, both of whom have since left the administration. The account of the previous undisclosed conversation comes from a senior administration official familiar with what was said. By the way, for those of you, the Trump supporters, who look at this scenario, or looked at the scenario when John Bolton came on, the H.A. Goodmans of the world, that said they're not really looking for war. They're not really looking for, those people are just coming into office. They're not going to have any influence on policy. You don't bring somebody like a goddamn maniac like John Bolton into your administration if you're not going to listen to John Bolton. In fact, Rex Tillerson and McMaster's are not necessarily doves. And even they told him to stand down. The people who would tell him to stand down are now no longer part of his administration. He surrounded himself with maniacs. Ask John Bolton a question. What color is the sky? Well, shit, we need to invade. No, I didn't ask you that, John. I just asked you what color was the sky. Those are the people who Donald Trump has around him at his disposal. and he was already like a psychopath looking for blood, wanting to invade Venezuela. This guy's a fucking maniac. Think about what is taking place. Casually talking about let's use our military to bash and kill and plunder another country. Let's murder the inhabitants of that country as we try to make our way in a bloody campaign to get to this head of Venezuela. That's fucking amazing. You've been applying economic pressure and all sorts of pressures on that nation, just like you've been applying all through South America for the past 50, 60 years. But here we have another Republican president, goofball in chief, wanting to invade, just like the last reality show host, wanting to invade Nicaragua. It's amazing. In an exchange that lasted about 5 minutes, McMaster and others took turns explaining to the president how military action could backfire and risk losing hard-won support among Latin American governments to punish President Nicolas Maduro for taking Venezuela down a path of dictatorship, according to the official. And we don't even know that much. This is the AP's perspective, meaning we don't know what's taking place in Venezuela because we're not in Venezuela. And I'm a hard time believing propaganda that the West puts out in regards to what's taking place inside of a country. Congratulations, you've made me a cynical SOB, but I'm only this way because of the failures and the lies that you've told us over the course of the last 50, 60 years. But Trump pushed back. Although he gave no indication that he was about to order military plans, he pointed to what he considered to be past cases of successful gunboat diplomacy in the region, according to the official, like the invasion of Panama and Grenada in 1980. The idea, despite his aide's best attempt to shoot it down, would nonetheless persist in the president's head. Guy couldn't read a book, let alone write a book, and yet he's talking about invading a country. That's amazing. The next day, August 11th, Trump alarmed his friends and foes alike with talk of military option to remove Maduro from power. The public remark were initially dismissed in the United States policy circles as a sort of martial bluster people come to expect from the reality TV star turned commander-in-chief. But shortly afterwards, he raised the issue with Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos, according to the United States official. Two high-ranking Colombian officials who spoke well in conditional anonymity to avoid antagonizing Trump confirmed the report. Then in September, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, Trump discussed it again, this time with greater length and private dinner with leaders of 4 Latin American allies that included Santos, the same 3 people, and Politico reported in February. The United States official said Trump specifically briefed not to raise the issue and told it wouldn't play well, but the first things the president said at the dinner was, "My staff told me not to say this." Trump then went around asking each leader if they were sure they didn't want a military solution, according to the official who spoke, who added that each leader told Trump in clear terms that they were sure. Are you sure you don't want us to murder a lot of people? I mean, I need some blood on my hands. I need some bodies on my conscience. Let's be honest, I don't really have a conscience. Are you sure you don't want people being murdered and killed by the thousands? Are you positive you don't want that? Are you positive you don't want that? Yes. Yes. C and C. Reality show host. He thinks this is a joke. This is not a joke. You're talking about militarily invading a country. Even if there was one guy in that country that was causing problems, in order to get to that one guy, you're going to go through a river of blood to do it. And you are willing to do it because you're a reality show host. And you don't quite understand that choices have actual decisions. Not to mention the last person, goofball, who decided on military conquest in this way, killed 1 million people. And there was no consequence for that. The person who came in office said, we are looking forward, we are not looking back, forgetting the fact that all crimes take place at some point in the past, at the point in which you're aware of the crimes taking place. So, we have a goofball looking at the actions of a previous goofball who's allowed to get off for murdering 1 million people, saying, hey, let's murder some more people. There's no consequence to the presidency. There's no consequence to failures and murder in the presidency. They had to talk him down. They had to talk him down. Eventually, McMaster will pull aside the president and walk him through the dangers of an invasion, taking together behind-the-scenes talks, the extent and details of which have not been previously reported, highlight how Venezuela's political and economic crisis have received top attention by the president, by Trump, in a way that was unimaginable in the Obama administration. But critics say it also underscores how this America First foreign policy at times can seem outright reckless, providing ammunition to America's adversary. That's not America's first. That's not America First. You're talking about using the military. We're $20 trillion in debt. And you're talking about using the military to invade fucking Venezuela. Are you serious? What does that have to do with America First? What does that have to do with America First? That has nothing to do with America First. That breaks a campaign promise. That is an outright lie if you're going to try to, let's put this under America First. It doesn't apply. There's nothing about invading Venezuela that has anything to do with what is our best interest. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Nothing. Nothing at all. It's fucking amazing. And Associated Press, you're embarrassing. Writing this in this kind of impartial terms. It is the President of the United States that recklessly decided that he wanted to willy-nilly invade a country. The White House declined to comment on the private conversation. I bet they did. But the National Security Council spokesman reiterated that the United States will consider all options at its disposal to help restore Venezuelan democracy. Look, what's going on in Venezuela is none of our business. None of it. Venezuela is left up to Venezuela. You have a bunch of plutocrats in the country that are not happy. Fuck them. Fuck them. What does the mass of the population want? That's where I'm at. If the majority of the population is happy with Maduro, then I don't care. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. I'm just making the point that this has nothing to do with America First at all. The President of the United States is talking about invading the country. We're not at risk. Nobody's at our gates. We're not under attack. Congress has not declared anything. And he is talking about attacking a sovereign nation. Another one. Again, I'm not going to keep this long. It just annoys me. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Let's see. Your belittling of Trump. Uh-oh, here we are. We have people who disagree. Your belittling of Trump as a reality show host is inaccurate. He was a developer that handed millions of dollars, give credit where credit's due, and he went bankrupt like 6 times. Call it what it is. He was a reality show host. What is wrong with calling him a reality show? He was a reality show host. Why are you ashamed of him being a reality show host? He's a reality show host. Fucking what he was before he became president. Let's be honest. $1 million. If you want to talk about the money that Trump got, Trump lost millions. Banks wouldn't even loan to him because they understood that he was a goddamn failure. And now he's out here potentially declaring wars. And you're talking about you should give credit where credit is due? He's a goddamn reality show host who's going to get us into a war and potentially get us into a war with Iran. Fuck him. He's lied to you. Own it. He's utterly and completely lied to you. He comes into office with the refrain, America First. This doesn't look anything like America First to me at all. It looks like he's talking about invading the country, and it's too stupid to take the hint that other Latin American countries is not going to want him and the U.S. military murdering and killing people on their borders. It's fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. The United States CIA is already destabilizing Venezuela. Yes, that's true. Greg Jarvis, believe Trump reads most Hitler stuff like speeches. You look at the speech by Hitler and compare it to Trump, and the delivery and the style are frighteningly similar. I've seen Hitler speeches. No, they're not. They're not. Hitler was actually a great orator. Even if you didn't like what he was saying, you could say, oh my God, this guy is fucking terrifying. But he's terrifying because he's giving a fucking amazing speech that you look at the people and like, okay, those people are receptive to that. This is terrifying. Donald Trump gives a speech and you're like, how does this guy get out of high school, let alone elementary school? And why are these idiots listening to him? Look, I understand that people like to make comparisons between Trump and Hitler and everything. There's no comparison. I'm sorry, he's not Hitler. You can do all the comparisons in the world that you want. He's not Hitler. Fuck, man. Trump definitely will start a war to get reelected and paint the Democrats as weak. Understand what's taking place here. I am not the person who's been hysterical about Donald Trump. Not me. I rarely carry stories, and when I do carry stories, oftentimes those stories are like, look, I agree with this, or I disagree with this. I agree with this stuff as far as it aligns up with my values. You put a bullet in a Trans-Pacific Partnership, fucking gold star. You fight against investor-state dispute settlements, fucking gold star. Those things line up with my value system. I like this idea of a nation-state being able to control the rules that take place within a nation-state. This is different. This is the president running afoul of my value system. What do you think? What do you think? Explain to me. Tell me. What do you think is going to take place if the president of the United States decides to invade Venezuela? Do you believe that the Venezuelan army will fight back? How many Americans are you willing to give? How much blood are you willing to drain out? And are you willing to be your kid going there fighting in Venezuela for Donald fucking Trump? It's amazing. Plymouth, I respect your channel, but damn, you're a little unhinged here. No war ain't gonna happen. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. Whether war is gonna happen or not, the president of the United States has tried to start a war. The president wanted to attack Venezuela. Not for any good reason. The president wanted to attack Venezuela. Apply the logic that's taking place here from the standpoint of the president to Iran. Look at what they're doing with the Iran deal. And look at what they're doing with the Iran deal. I'm trying to make this point to you that it is something problematic in the thinking process of the president of the United States who wanted to attack Venezuela at one point and who's lining up his forces to attack Iran. All of these people here who were there, who were around him, who talked him down, are gone. You have John Bolton in one ear and Mike Pompeo in the other ear, both of which are war hawks. I'm making the point to you that this idea of war ain't going to happen. You've lost it. You're insane. Look back at World War I, World War II. Look back at those wars. Many of those people didn't think those wars were going to take place. And here you have it. The president of the United States casually discussing murdering a lot of people. But I'm the one that's unhinged. Fair enough. John Bolton and Bloody Murray sounds like someone's cooking up a war to me. Not to mention, you're right, Bloody Murray. Bloody Murray. We're already freezing bank accounts of everyone associated with Maduro, seizing billions of oil and strangling them with sanctions and economic warfare. And by the way, what's taking place with the standpoint of Maduro is actually rallying people around Maduro because they think the United States is absolutely and completely unhinged. Forgive me if I'm a little animated about this, but it's a big fucking deal. And it goes beyond just Venezuela to Iran. This also goes to Iran. I even heard at one point that part of the reason that they were trying to up the oil production was because of what's taking place here. And by the way, no, I'm sorry, scratch that. That's wrong. Well, at least I think it's wrong. We don't necessarily know what Trump is doing with Venezuela now that these other people are out of office. You're being very casual about a president routinely just willy-nilly talking about killing people. If I am unhinged, I am for a reason. And you should be too. Here's the last part. Let's see. On Wednesday, Maduro cited AP's article to reaffirm his long-standing claim that the United States' military design on Venezuela and its vast oil reserves. And by the way, you also know that there was a coup in Venezuela going back with Hugo Chavez. They tried to say Hugo Chavez was a dictator, but the man has been elected all over the place. So I am less certain as you about the aims of the United States government. And yeah, I think people should be hyped up about their president once again, talking about murdering a lot of people and doing so in such a casual way over crumpets and tea. Hey, you want to kill, murder those people? Nah, not today, man. Not today. On Wednesday, Maduro cited the AP's article to reaffirm his long-standing claim that the United States' military designs on Venezuela and has vast oil reserves. At a military promotion ceremony in Caracas, he called on the troops to remain vigilant, criticizing what he called the supremacist and criminal vision of those who govern the United States. Yeah, that's true. A military intervention on the part of the United States empire would never be a solution to Venezuela problems, he said. And some in the staunchest U.S. allies were begrudgingly forced to side with Maduro in condemning Trump's saber-rattling. Santos, a big backer of U.S. attempts to isolate Maduro, said an intervention would have zero support in the region. The Mercosur trade bloc, which includes Brazil and Argentina, issued a similar statement saying that only acceptable means of promoting democracy are dialogue and diplomacy, and repudiating any option that implies the use of force. But among Venezuela's beleaguered opposition movement, hostility to the idea of a military intervention has slowly eased. A few weeks after Trump public comments, Harvard economics professor, Venezuelan planning minister, wrote a syndicated column titled D-Day Venezuela, in which he called for a coalition of the willing made up of regional powers and the United States in support of military government appointed by the opposition-led assembly. Hey, we need you to put somebody in here. We need you to oust our government. That's amazing. People inside and outside the administration know they can ignore plenty of what Trump says. Ferencine, who is now a senior advisor at the Albright Stonebridge Group, said the Trump talk of the military invasion of Venezuela, the concern is that it raised expectations among Venezuelans, many of whom are waiting for the external actor to save them. No, I suspect many of whom don't want the United States stomping through their country. I'll say, look at the stories of Iraq, look at the stories of Vietnam, and I think you'll come to a different conclusion. There's one other part to this. Right here. Under Trump's leadership, the United States, Canada, and European Union have levied sanctions on dozens of top Venezuelan officials, including Maduro himself, over allegations of corruption, drug trafficking, human rights abuses. The United States also distributed more than $30 million to help Venezuelan neighbors absorb the influx of more than 1 million migrants who have fled the country. You created refugees. You created a policy that created refugees. That's amazing. That's amazing. The fact that it was up for discussion in the first place should terrify you. Should terrify you. All right, I'm going to end this. This happened last summer, but Jesus Christ, it shouldn't have happened at all. the guy for Obama, or that was working for Obama, made the point that this is not going to work without support of people in the streets. But Maduro was able to get people in the streets on his side. So this is amazing. We pay for the invasion and infrastructure improvements, then the banks, corporations, investors reap the rewards. I feel like the media and the politicians say shit about Syria, Iran, Venezuela to test the public opinion waters to see who they invade. So elephants on coke, you're right. I don't have the paper up on me because I didn't know you were going to say that. I can't read the future. But there's a Tillerson memo. Look up the Tillerson memo. The Tillerson memo essentially is a memo that was written to Tillerson by people in the department, essentially telling him Iran, China, and Russia are used to hit, whereas we protect our allies, meaning people like Saudi Arabia, these batshit crazy regimes, Bahrain, or the regimes that are in that area for the most part that do what we say or that kind of go along. Let's say like Israel, for example. These people are maniacs. Israel has been supporting terrorists in that region of the world, even neo-Nazis in the Ukraine. Us supporting the Ukrainian government that has Nazis, real Nazis, running around being part of the government. We hit certain people versus liking certain people based on their political allegiance, not freedom, justice, and this other nonsense. Are you going to back our interests or not? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, we don't care what you do. Period. That's U.S. policy. That was essentially what was described to Tillerson in that memo. It was honest. It was brutally honest. It's just Trump, of course, not any other element in our government DNC talking point. No, but see, that's the difference. I don't think it's just Trump. I don't think it's just Trump. I mean, you can go to Obama's policy. Obama policy would have never jumped the shark from the standpoint of talking about attacking Venezuela. It would jump the shark in the sense of creating pressure that kind of kills hundreds of thousands in Syria. Pick your poison. Blue or red. Blue or red. There are laxatives in both pills, but you can take either one. Blue or red. If your community faced U.S. aggression for decades, revolution will probably seem like a reasonable option. Revolution will probably seem like the only option. You must understand, there's an inflection point. When you get to a certain point, people are going to be under stress and people are under pressure. But you get to a point where the stress that people are taking is less important than what they may be able to get out of it. Meaning, the pressure and the stress creates the situation where people need to do something, they need to change. And yeah, you create a pressure cooker. Those people start to do something else. That something else gets this kind of revolutionary spirit that takes place. It's funny, when I was talking to the guy, oh God, what is his name? He was on the show, Communist. He was talking about this revolutionary fire and how it shows up in third world countries. Well, yeah, it shows up in third world countries because the conditions to which they are living under are horrendous. Your only out is revolution. As opposed to in first world nations where they have Xbox and they have TV and they have a soft bed and then that bomb's going off all the time. So this idea of a revolution gets tampered by reform. The New Deal were reforms in order to stave off what FDR considered the potential of a revolution. I saved capitalism. Yeah. Goofball. That goofball. He was going to use our military in order to... Wow, that goofball. No, Bashar, I don't mean Bernie. I don't mean Bernie. Jason Uru was on the show, and he was talking about that, the revolutionary drive. All within our sphere of influence. Yeah, look up the... what is the doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine. Everything in this sphere is going to be under our influence. Keep away. Unru. He talks about that revolutionary fire that's created in third world countries. All right, I'm going to end this here. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks, everyone.